Welcome to Gray Area 55. It's Rex Jones and Tim Tompkins here live with the one and only, the great, the phenomenal Harrison Smith.
Let's pull him up real quick.
Oh, he's not up there yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull him up.
Harrison.
We forgot you.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty fired up to have you on here, man. You were our first kind of bigger guest, and I think everyone loved our conversation then.
Well, things have only gotten spicier. So, yeah. No, lack of news stories to discuss.
No.
Well, it's not like there's a war going on or anything like that.
It's not a war. I keep hearing it's not a war.
Special military operation.
The 1973 War Powers Act dictates that the president has official powers to do things under 60 days, and Congress has to vote to ratify, so it's not a war. And you're like, well, they just blew up a school. According to
it's not a war, but we are demanding unconditional surrender. It's a little weird.
Yeah, it's kind of nuclear language. It's kind of Japanese.
Well, look, it's all absurd. I mean, obviously that's what, a lot of the Venezuela stuff was programming us to accept, right? And I think we talked about this while it was happening, but it's like, yeah, we're not okay with this. We're not okay with Trump just saying, actually, because these people are transporting drugs that might be taken by Americans that might result in them dying. It's an imminent threat and we get to go to war. It's like, no, that never should have been okay. But they made it okay.
Venezuela was just, the gear up like you talked about, but we're just trying to hedge ourselves against the whole oil situation, right? I mean, I think oil's at 104. Did I see that correctly?
I saw that crude was at 111 now. So it's over. It's Soj over. Like the midterms, everything, because Americans largely, I think the thing that we're discovering is a lot of people are apathetic to this. A lot of people, you talk to them about the war and they're just like, oh, I don't know. What am I going to do about it, man? And that attitude will fade really quick when groceries become much more expensive. It's not even the personal travel element or like the money to get to work that I think about. It's the trucks, it's the diesel, it's all of the stuff relating to that.
Yeah.
And that's really going to be felt by people at the grocery store. Do you think that everyone's following the stories relating to the conflict, to the war as intently as we are? Do you think the public is aware of it?
Good Lord, no. I shudder to think what the wider public thinks is going on right now. No, I don't think anybody is following it as closely as we are, which is, you have to follow it this closely if you want to know anything about it, because if you watch Fox News or something like it, and, I was sort of shocked. I guess I shouldn't have been, but just like the blatant propaganda, strategy of Fox is like jarring. It's like actually jarring. I turn on Greg Gutfeld and it's Greg Gutfeld like, we killed the Ayatollah and his council of elders. And it's just like a picture of like a bunch of goats with turbans on. And it's like, we're really doing this, huh? The Ayatollah he's a goat, is he? Okay. We're back to that level of propaganda. It's shameful, man. Shameless.
And there's a level of just kind of like unabashed like racism to it that's not even accurate, right? Because these aren't the Afghanistan Taliban. This isn't Saddam's disbanded Republic Guard himself. These are people that are very serious. They have very serious engineers. They have very serious missile and technological capabilities. And the disrespect of saying, okay, they're already done, they've already been completely finished off, well, targets are still being hit, so that's clearly not true. And to add on to that, we're going in there and we're blowing up their like national like oil reserves, oil depots. Did you see that giant black cloud in Tehran?
I did see that.
What'd you think of that? That's pretty nuts.
I think it's pretty wild. But the problem I'm having right now is what's propaganda and what's real. Like, if you listen to the United States, where like Iran's almost out of missiles, they used to fire, hundreds, and now they're only firing like
I don't believe
six or something like that in the last 6 hours. So like I'm like, okay, wait, hold on, are they telling the truth? And then Iran's coming out with their own content, and then you've got other influencers that are more geared towards them. So I get confused as I'm trying to sift through. Like Suleiman posts a lot of stuff, but sometimes it turns out to be different. So I don't know what you guys...
I don't think that we're winning unabashedly like we claim that we're winning, because if we were winning, we wouldn't have blown up their entire spot. Like Tehran, like we've given, that there's a tweet I have in the Google Doc, we've given potentially, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people cancer in the future, because like these are very dangerous, toxic petrochemicals. We're burning up, we're blowing up their entire quadrant. to quote Dracula flow.
Mhm.
This is not. If this was something where we were just going to march on in and take it over, the scale of destruction wouldn't be what it is right now.
And that's the thing, is that at this point, and sort of from the beginning, the war aims have literally been just like widespread destruction. Like that's it. There's no other plan other than that. And yeah, I mean the toxic gas thing. I mean the classic cliche thing to say now is like, what about climate change? But like, yeah, seriously, this is like a major ecological disaster that's absolutely going to cause cancer in its wake. I mean, did y'all see the radar of what the clouds looks like as it goes over? I mean, it's going to pass over like 1 billion people when it goes over India. So
Wow.
yeah, it's just completely sick and pointless. And yeah, the question is for what and to what end? And the answer is nothing, just chaos.
And they tell us that these things are worth it. They tell us that we have to pay for them, right? Because like that's our money going over there to cause that explosion. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's not just them inventing it. It's us putting up with the system, buying into the system, ultimately voting for these people over and over and over again. It's all just a fake economy, and the one thing it's actually built off of is death. It's not even fiat currency. It's backed by death. It's backed by the American potential to cause death overseas. That's what we do. That's what our entire economy is. Going into it, getting further on the timeline, Trump says that it could last till September. He also says that war
That's
is going to be
crazy.
fought forever and for decades if necessary. What's the timeline on this for you? What do you see going on?
What I would like to see is a ceasefire get established somewhat soon. I've heard some rumors about that,
That'd be wonderful.
but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, if you put yourself in the mindset of Iran, apparently, the rumor is that there's already been multiple attempts by the Trump administration to reach out to Iran, and Iran basically said no. So we have no reason to talk, and we're not going to talk. So I mean, they want to set a precedent basically for ever, right? It's like they don't want this to happen again. It's not like they can end it here and then just like it happens again in another 6 months. That's unacceptable to them. So if I was Iran, you're kind of just at this point, I don't know. Like you said, the propaganda is like impossible to sift through because you got one side that is, way out there, the other side that is way out there in the other direction. The truth's got to be somewhere in the middle. But this is kind of unlike other conflicts where, and I don't know what makes it different about this, but usually you can go, okay, they're saying this and they're saying this. The truth is this, right? It's like, all right, obviously they're trying to spin it this way. They're trying to spin it this way. Here's the truth. But now it's just like you go on the Iranian side of X and you think Tel Aviv is just a smoldering ruin at this point. It's just hailing, hypersonic missiles. You go to the, American propaganda and you think that Iran has one dude with a machine gun on a mountain and that's it. Everything else is gone. Like, so, it's like, all right, obviously it's not either one of those. I have no idea what to make of what's happened so far. One thing that I can't make heads or tails of is the fact they've only said 7 Americans have died so far. That, like, I don't believe that. I really don't believe that with all of our bases being hit, but like, I don't know if America is deliberately lying about their casualties. That's not a good thing. I don't know if y'all saw.
That would be the real scandal to come out of all this. I haven't seen what you're referring to. What are you referring to?
Well, I retweeted a thing that it was NYPD put out a bulletin that was like one of the members of NYPD died of natural causes while deployed in Kuwait. And it's like, really? He just had a heart attack. Did he maybe got spooked by the airstrike and had a heart attack?
But on a banana peel, something like that. That's what they want us to believe.
Well, that is what they want us to believe. And you said something earlier. You said when they were going to negotiations, they said, well, the Iranians said absolutely under no circumstance. I'm seeing opposite reports that literally say the Iranians want to come to the table. Trump's like, absolutely not. We're just going to bomb you guys. And
I don't believe it.
And I'm just like, what is
the
truth at this point?
I don't believe it. I think that they're like Trump, by killing the Pope, Trump initiated a series of events that he can now never take back. I don't think that they want to come to the table. I don't think that they care. I think that you could kill enough of them to where it could topple the government and new people could come in.
I don't even know if you can topple the government at this point, because if you think about what they're doing with the oil fields, the economic impacts are going to be felt by the average person in Iran. Like you can already see, if you can see the videos of people in line waiting for gas because they know that that's going to be an issue. Also, oil is their biggest export,
Would
which is
you
their economy is already struggling as it is. So if you hit their major export and what's bringing in revenue, I mean, I don't see how this
would,
goes any other way.
would you say, Harrison, that it's a recipe for a failed state? Because that's what it looks like to me. Like they're trying to do a Libya.
Yeah, well, that's literally the goal. I mean, if you listen to the Israelis and the Americans, that is the that's the best case scenario, I guess, for America, is that we bomb them to such a degree that like they literally cannot recover for a couple of decades, and it just dissolves into factionalism, and the Kurds massacring everybody and everybody massacring the Kurds back. That is literally the goal, the aim of the war at this point, as far as I can tell. And that would be best case scenario, I guess. Now for Iran, you don't want to stop until you have seriously degraded the American or the Israeli ability to hit you again. So, we are in like ride the tiger, era right now. Trump has done things that he cannot take back, and the ball is rolling, and Iran has lashed out to such a degree that like they have to keep going. They can't stop now. They can't just half-heartedly, destroy most of our radar bases, but not all of them. Like they got to keep going. I I think I think we all have a pretty good idea of how this went down. I don't think that the suppositions are all that off the mark. Of Trump thought this would be a 48-hour thing. He thought we'll kill the leadership, and then we'll kill the next round of leadership, and then that third round of leadership will be so terrified that they'll work with us, or just be weak enough that we can bully them. I think he thought 48 hours in, 72 hours in, he'd be given a press conference going, the new leadership of Iran has agreed to meet us. And there's actually, and that obviously this is all being manipulated by Israel. And there's rumors that like, it may have even been, it's being presented as if this was like a chess move by Khomeini. I don't know if it was, but in the building with him, or at least like they died also in the same strike, was like the less radical, more friendly people that I think America planned on having take over.
That's
Sure.
insane.
So they also killed his granddaughter. They killed his son-in-law, his daughter, and I believe his granddaughter as well. That is a real thing, as to where like I saw Ritter's analysis of it, and I thought it was so good. And I don't agree with Scott Ritter on many things, but I thought he was on point here. He said, look, like the thing that you'd want to do to beat these people, to beat the supreme leader, to beat him, is to destroy his image. You kill everyone around him, you leave him alive, hiding the old weak king in the bunker, and then the revolution really takes place, and the people are like, hey, we're going to revolt. Maybe we want the Shah, even though he looks like Squidward, he's a lot better than this. And then they put him in power. You don't kill him day one.
Yeah, but it's different though. Like we haven't even been able to be successful in any of the other situations. We've tried bombing
Absolutely.
in Vietnam. We tried bombing in Afghanistan. We tried bombing in Iraq. We tried it every single time. And even if you topple the government, the power vacuum still exists. And then somebody comes in that's worse. But Iran is way more capable than all of those states, right? So at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't see the regime change. The people are going to rally together. I mean, their country is very nationalistic. They love their country at the end of the day.
Yes.
When they all rally behind an outside force, like I don't think the average Iranian's a big fan of Israel. And knowing that Israel is behind this is just, a recipe for like, okay, we
No.
don't care at this
No,
point.
no. Here's the thing. We've done this many times. Look at Syria. It's so good. We find a guy with the biggest knife who's chopped off the most heads. And we go, look at you. Aren't you? Look at my terrorist. Aren't you the greatest?
You
Aren't
look like a fresh one.
Exactly. And then you toss them in there and they do a great job. What do you think about that? Just look at the examples of what we've done in the region. Is there a U.S. plan for what potentially would happen to Iran, Harrison?
The Al Jolani plan is not a bad one. I mean,
Right.
I think they're going to try to use Al Jolani to go after Lebanon. I mean, they're getting. I mean, Hezbollah is really making some big moves right now.
Sure.
And it would be very useful to have a horde of ISIS terrorists descend from the north onto Lebanon. So I think that might be happening soon. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know what the plan was, or if there even was one. I definitely don't think anyone other than a hardliner is going to get anywhere near power in Iran at this point. I mean, we're bombing hospitals, we're bombing schools. I mean, on Friday, we had bombed 13 hospitals. I don't know how many more we bombed this weekend, but like the people are not going to be okay with anybody who is. I've even seen stuff that was Iranian militia groups like that were anti-government and that for like decades have been fighting against the Iranian government. And they're putting out messages going, we pledge our guns to the Republican Guard. You know, we fought against you before, but now we must unite against our enemy. So like, and I'm almost certainly positive that was real. Like that wasn't a propaganda thing. It was literally like, they aren't the Kurds, but it was a group like the Kurds, you know, the whatever Azerbaijani, Kurdish, Iranian separatist group that was just like, actually, we like Iran. Actually, we've seen what these other people are like. We're on your side now. So yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just not happening. And you got to just wonder. I mean, I think this may have been the biggest mistake of all time.
Yes.
I cannot think of another decision that was so bad and so unnecessary. It's crazy. It is insane what we've already suffered. What is just again, the ball has started to roll, right? The object has been thrown from the cliff. It might not have landed yet, but all of these oil fields burning. Oman is like shutting down all of its production of everything. Like, dude, it's crazy and it's only going to get crazier. And honestly, the best case scenario, I put out a tweet sort of sarcastically saying it, is like, you did it, Trump, you won. It's time to declare victory and come home. You did it. You did it, Trump. Wow. The 1 week war, call it the 1 week war, Trump, and just bring everybody home today. And it's success. We won. Like the best case scenario is just, we let Trump pretend he won so we can all just try to put the pieces back together.
I think he was just upset that he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. So he's like, I'm just going to watch it all burn. You know what? I should have won. I stopped 7 wars. You guys don't want to give it to me? I'll start a new one.
They should have given it to him because then maybe he wouldn't have wanted to disrespect it.
Yeah, that is true. Actually,
honestly, yeah.
But one thing I will say is that, like, okay, I think the United States knows that regime change is much harder. I think the bigger play here is they just want to pretty much eradicate most of the military presence of Hezbollah and Iran and the power that they had prior to. So, I mean, this now gives Israel the justification and the excuse to go in, wipe out most of Hezbollah's like military, so that they don't
invade Lebanon.
Yeah, and even if they don't occupy it, it's about destroying all the weapons there. That way they have more, power to be able to maneuver in that region. And same with Iran. Like, as long as they've been slowly chopping away Iran's proxy networks, I mean, one after another. And I think this is just the big hammer, just to kind of smash it and be like, okay, we're already this far. We might as well just go all the way and just see how far we can go before oil prices get out of control and the American people get pissed off. Like, this will go on for, I mean, if September, I wouldn't be shocked.
They've already lost. It's over. The world order is done. We're living in the new world order. The new world order has been created now.
That's why in this weird way, and I don't think it was intentional, but like, we might, America might have to pull out of the Middle East after this. Yeah. Again, I genuinely do not think Trump is playing 5D chess in this case, but it's almost like, I don't know who's suffering the most from this. The Israelis are getting bombed to smithereens and fleeing their country, and they can't because their airport's getting hit. And like American military in the Middle East, our assets, which are expensive, and we paid for those, and I'm not happy that they got destroyed, but maybe we'll not rebuild them after this. Maybe we'll decide it's better not to do things overseas. It's kind of a terrifying prospect because it's more or less America being brought low, but it's, could be a silver lining to this cloud.
Hey, let's bring up that clip that you posted.
Yeah, this one's important.
Document. I think this is talking about Anthony Blinken, right?
I've got a couple to show you after as well.
Go ahead and play that, Wes.
Look, this has been a long story when it comes to Iran. And back during the Obama administration, the Israelis were pushing President Obama to take military action against Iran, and were warning that they would do it themselves if he didn't. And he wouldn't, because he thought the better way to get at the nuclear program, which is what we were focused on, was through very muscular diplomacy backed up by very, very strong sanctions that we rallied the world to put in place. And then we got the Iran nuclear agreement.
Okay, cut back to us. What do you think about that?
Well, it seems so. This is about building this timeline, right, and understanding that just every president gets pressured by Israel, and also blackmailed by Israel, right? They'll say, "You have to join us in this, or we'll do it ourselves, and your guys will get hit." So it sounds like they did the same thing to Obama, but they did it to Trump, and Trump fell for it. They got Trump. Obama said no, sort of called their bluff. Obviously, they didn't launch the attack that they thought they were, said they were going to. Sounds like Trump kind of fell for it. So again, yeah, it sounds like Trump is surrounded by Israel operatives who are feeding him Israeli intelligence and telling him things that aren't true. He's believing them and making decisions based off this, and it sucks. But yeah, I think they sort of pumped him up under Vietnam. I can't remember who I was listening to. Somebody was talking about it and put it really well. It may have been John Kiriakou, but basically saying like, so many times people have told Trump, you can't do this, it's impossible. He does it and it works out amazingly. Like that happens over and over and over. And the latest is probably Venezuela. Like the idea you're going to go in and capture Maduro and not lose a single person, like that's impossible. It goes off better than he even expected. Like it works perfectly. We don't lose a single person or a single piece of equipment.
I heard something completely bizarre about that. I heard Larry Johnson talk about this. Former CIA guy, was in the CIA for like 30, 40 years. Judge Napolitano, a frequent guest on his show and other shows like that. He was like, well, Trump offered three of the people a $50 million like bounty reward for insider information and helping him get Maduro. And then after it happened, apparently, and this is speculation, this is just me reporting on what Larry Johnson said, apparently Trump didn't pay him.
Why would he?
Which is like pretty good, right? So that's pretty classic. It's also
very classic Trump.
It's also pronounced Israel. It's not Israel. It's Israel.
Israel. That's right.
So
that's right.
We got another clip of Trump talking about the same thing, and it's the first clip in the Google Doc. If we could go to that,
he's got it pulled up.
Awesome.
Go ahead and put that on, Wes.
Years they've been killing our people and killing people from all over the world, and I think we have great support. And I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible.
I have a question for you guys. I've often thought about it these days. Like, let's say United States out of it, right? Would you rather have Israel or Iran running the region? Because that's what would happen if the U.S. was involved.
Iran.
Yeah, Iran. 100%.
Okay.
I don't think that's
walk me through that, because I have a different opinion about that.
Well, Israel's a genocide terrorist state to start, but I'll let Harrison go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say Israel's been in charge. What's Iran going to do? Mess it up? Like, what's the worst case scenario? It's going to get worse somehow? I don't think that's even possible. Like, no, okay. Yeah.
Let me
anybody better.
Like, okay, we see when there are protests in Iran, they kill a lot of people of their own to suppress them. In the opposite case, you see Israel, they have protests. They're not killing people by the thousand. Do you think that Iran hasn't been able to do that on a wider scale because they don't have the power? Like there's some darkness to Iran as well that, people are not realizing because they don't really cover the things that are happening to the Iranian people. Just think about how they treat women.
I'd like to see confirmed reports of the 30,000 figure that's dead. Because I asked Grok about it. Grok told me there were no official confirmations.
Even if it's not 30 and it's like, let's say 1,000 or 2,000, that's more than any that we would do. Like we riot when there was 6 people killed at Ohio State during the Vietnam era.
Dude, they killed 6 figures worth of people in the Gaza Strip and don't even bat an eye at it. Like,
not just that, but sort of the biggest thing before October 7th was this big Palestinian March for Peace, which was a big protest that the Israelis just shot up and massacred a bunch of people. And there are also videos going around. Israel does not allow anti-war protests. There's a bunch of videos going around of people trying to have anti-war protests. And usually the gathering is really pathetically small. It's like 6 people try to get together to protest, and they're just surrounded by like 30 cops who just haul them away. So, Israel isn't exactly like an open democracy either, as much as they, claim to be. I think the what I heard was that 30,000 number literally came from like some estimate that was then multiplied by 10 on the assumption that they would only have told us about 1 out of 10. So like, I think that number is completely made up, like just flagrantly made up.
I want to see one source for it. I haven't seen a single source for it. Everyone says a doctor said this, reports say this, XYZ. The only number I've seen that's come out of any like health ministry or health foundation was 3,500, which is still bad, but it's not 30,000.
But what I'm trying to say is that like, okay, I can understand why people are like, well, I'd rather have Iran, because they're seeing an underdog situation to where somebody is clobbering them over the head. But fundamentally, if I look at how Iran is structured and how their government runs and what they do, it's very heavily based off of religious aspects of the Quran and all of those things. We wouldn't want that on a wide scale with throughout that region.
Do they want a greater Iran?
Yeah.
They want to expand the borders of Iran.
No, they would if they could. That's why you had Iraq and Iran conflicts as well.
We initiated that. Iraq invaded Iran, not the other way around.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would say like I agree with you that a lot of the way Iran acts, like I wouldn't want to stand for it here. Like if people here start doing that, I wouldn't like it. But it's the same thing with like Bashar al-Assad, and it's like Bashar al-Assad gets kicked out, and who comes in? It's Jolani, and he starts massacring all of the little people, and it's like we know that Iran has real protest, right? But that's also because of the economic condition that we created, and that the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent like brags about and talks about. How specifically he used a very sophisticated economic warfare model against Iran, and says, now you see the results, all these people out, protesting on the street. So, if you're Iran and you're under this economic warfare causing pain to your people, and you have Mossad agents and CIA agents going in with, Starlink terminals and automatic weapons, and not just leading protests, but then causing them to become violent, you put them in a pretty difficult spot. And I don't know how many people were killed, but I would wonder how many of those were literally agents of Israel and America. Again, I don't even think that's questioned at this point. I think basically you have people from the CIA and others saying, yeah, we were in there, we were helping them out, right? We were assisting the freedom fighters. You were organizing protests and then firing on the security forces, hoping they would fire back. So
wasn't there a tweet for someone that was like, to the people of Iran in the streets, we are beside you? Don't you remember something like this? You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah. And so, it's like, all right, I have trouble saying that Iran is this like horrible, theocracy, when it's like, are they that way out of self-defense? Because if they weren't that way, if they tried to liberalize, isn't that just inviting in George Soros and the color revolution and the overthrow and dispossession of your people? Like they kind of have to be hardline because of the way that we treat them in a lot of ways. Again, not saying that I'm in favor of it or even condoning it, but from their perspective, you have to admit there's a logic to it that's not born from religious fanaticism.
Well, so it's a little difficult because, if you look at the 70s when the Shah was in power, Iran was actually moving in the right direction. The problem was the corruption. They were just paying the money out, not to the people, but to everywhere else. They could have, they actually could have done pretty well integrating into whatever society while having their own base. That was the problem fundamentally, right? But then again, like Iran and Israel, they both have evil to them. I'm not going to sit here and be like, Israel's the best. Like, no, I mean, I'm just looking at it like a lesser of two evils, where a lot of the stuff that we take for granted here, like the freedoms that we have and expression, I mean, they're going to kill you in Iran. Like we can't even be critical about, we wouldn't be able to be critical about, Khomeini the way that we are critical about Trump. Like you're dead. They're shooting you right on the spot. Secret police, all these different things. Like they're not good for the average person. And the problem is that I don't think Israel is the solution. It's definitely something else. And it just so happens that Israel is just one of the biggest regional powers within that area. But I'm just going to say, like, if Iran was left unchecked after all of these years and were able to gain all of the power that they could have gained, I don't think it would be a very good outcome for the Middle East as well.
To be fair to the point that you're making, Tim, if we look at it from the interest of Israel, of course, Israel wants to get bigger and have more land and have more power and have more reach. Like that, it's what any country would want to do. And I don't even think that their goals are that illogical, even if they are evil. Whereas you look at a country like the U.S. and our involvement in this situation, the thing I'm thinking about when you guys are discussing this is like, we're thousands of miles away from these people. Why are we involved in any of this? Why do we have to be over there? Why are we mediating and dictating and trying to rule the situation? It's because there is a large portion of the voting population, the older boomers, that believe in some sort of biblical Israel, and they have to serve it and worship it and bless it, and they will be blessed, and curse it, and they will be cursed. And I see these videos of John Hagee, that pastor down in San Antonio, and he's like, and the people of America are not as good as the people of Israel. And just stuff like that. And then you have, like 20,000 people in the audience. And like God knows how many people watching on TV, and you're like, well, this doesn't even make political sense. This isn't even for, we're going to use Israel to take all the oil, and America will be the most prosperous nation in the world for 1,000 years. At least that would be like empire building, resource management, like whatever, right? It's for a stated theological, biblical goal. And that's why for me, the whole Iran thing is like, of course we don't want to live over there. Of course we think the government is horrible. Of course we don't like the supreme leader. But at the end of the day, if that's an evil theocracy that cannot exist, then what are we doing? How is it not a theocracy? It's too much.
I'd also say, again, if that is the litmus test that you're going to give to Middle Eastern countries, most of them fail. I mean, Saudi Arabia and Qatar are not exactly, beacons of freedom and love either, but we seem fine, working with them, to a very large degree. But again, think about what we know about the Middle East over the last 30 years or so. And Iran has not been the source of the problems at all, pretty much. Most of it's been focused on destroying Iran. So, you can go back to 2001 and General Wesley Clark saying 5 countries in 7 years. Like, again, the globalists are not all powerful. The Zionists are not the supreme puppet masters where everything goes their way. They try things, it fails. They try different things. Like if they had succeeded in 2001 of the 7 countries in 5 years and gotten all the way to Iran and toppled them, maybe you would have seen a migrant crisis ensuing after then, or maybe the migrant crisis was something that came about 10 years later on its own volition. But you've got them pushing for this rapid fire series of dominoes in 2001. I think that plan kind of runs into Hezbollah in 2006. Because in 2006, Israel tried to invade Lebanon and failed, and everything kind of reset from then. And there was, sort of a period of tenuous peace for a little while they figured everything out. And then you hear Obama being pressured. So it's like from George Bush to Obama, to Trump, to Biden, it's like the Israelis are constantly, how are we getting to war with Iran? How are we getting to war with Iran? And they hadn't been able to achieve it yet. Then October 7th was like the initiation of the final operation, where it was like, fuck it, we're going to burn everything down in order to get to Iran, and we're going to get to Iran no matter what. And so they've been doing that for the last 2.5 years. And like, to them, they have gambled everything. They've gambled their reputation overseas, which is an existential thing for them, because they know the younger people in America don't like Israel and are not going to be easily swayed back to Israel's side. So if they don't get Iran now and become the hegemonic power over the Middle East, then they'll have Iran still as a major enemy. They'll have gained like Gaza, I guess, like well done, so they'll have gained a 25 square mile strip of land and sacrificed the future of their country, because they're going to start getting cut off from America's teat after a little while, and that's not going to be good. So they have gambled everything. They've already gone all in on this. They had to get Iran right now. So they had to do whatever they possibly could do to get it. So, it's like Iran or Israel being in charge. I mean, we've had Israel in charge for 30 years, and their influence has just been to push perpetual war, constant war, always with the goal eventually of destroying Iran, as Iran is the primary opposition to them, right?
Yeah, no, you are right. And I look at these things and I'm like, okay, well, how do these things even happen? How are we in this negative feedback loop? And it always comes back to the same thing for me. It all comes back to, 1948, the 1940s, the whole situation where, Britain steps away and the UN, they try to arbitrarily cut up the area of Palestine. And the Israelis were wrong in how they did that, like, and bar none. I mean, they took more land than they were supposed to. The Muslims didn't actually fully agree with that, and then from there they set this negative feedback loop in which the Muslim countries around were like, hey, that is not your land. I mean, the Nakba happened, all those different things. So then they feel the pressure of these outside forces like Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt. Then Iran eventually gets into the party. And then Iran over time becomes the biggest threat because the Muslim countries have not forgotten all of the things that have happened in that region. And it's just a back and forth. Each person is throwing blow for blow. And I think, so many people are far removed from the original source of the problems that happened 70 years ago. That region has been conquered and reconquered over and over again. I mean, the Muslims weren't even the first ones there. You had the Ottoman Empire, you had Romans were in that region. Like, that is one of the most disputed regions. And so now Israel is trying to kind of carve itself out to where, like, we're not going anywhere. And these Muslim countries would rather not have Israel there at the end of the day. So it's very interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Harrison.
Well, no, I mean, you're exactly right, and this is the problem with like inhumane expulsion of people groups, right? You kick people out of Palestine. Where do they go? Lebanon. They create the PLO. Factionalism and strife there causes the civil war, which eventually leads to Hezbollah. Like, it is all downstream from that, but it's not like, it's not like, oh, they like haven't forgotten. It's like, how do you get peace when it's like, okay, after the first big push in the Nakba, if Israel's supposed to say, okay, guys, we want to be peaceful, like that was a mistake. Like, even if they wanted to like apologize for it, it's like, okay, well, you're still on our land, so get off. So, you can't unless you actually want to surrender, in which case you got to fight another war. So it is in this like feedback loop of retribution ever since 1948. But before then, it really wasn't a contentious place for I think the Ottomans occupied that whole area for like 1,600 years or something insane. I mean, it was Christian, and then the Muslims conquered it. And then the Ottoman Empire, basically, it was just a backwater sort of frontier area of the Ottoman Empire for like, hundreds and hundreds of years until the British and French showed up and wanted to like partition it. But, I think that's always kind of a misconception when people are like, well, people have been fighting over this for thousands of years. It's like, not really. I mean, they fought for it thousands of years ago, and then, but for the whole of the 1800s and most of the 1900s, it was actually, or like the first half of the 1900s, it wasn't that bad. It was only once the Balfour Declaration put it up for grabs that.
That's why I put the UK and France at the forefront of this entire mess. Instead of the UK actually sticking through it and figuring out, the colonialist mindset is like, well, we don't really care because they took that region from the Ottoman Empire, right? Because they've conquered that. And they made a mess out of it. And then they didn't think about the long-term implications, and they were just making tactical decisions. And they felt like, you know what? We can promise land to two different people, get them to be like, okay, yeah, you guys can have this land, and then step away and be like, yeah, you guys can actually fight over it. And that is the worst part to me. And no one gives the UK and the colonialists what they did enough of the scrutiny when it comes to these conflicts. And we just look at it like the Muslims versus Palestinians versus the Israelis.
Well, there's a lot of terrorism that went on in Europe, especially in the 1950s, in the period just after Israel's creation, relating to getting, European Jews or Jews that lived in other places other than Palestine or Israel to move there, right? And there's kind of this culture that's been created. And really, what I took away from what y'all were just talking about is really what Israel is an extension of the West. Like that's what it is. It's our outpost there. It's our aircraft carrier, as they call it, right? So the people in that region, even if they view the people of Israel as different from the people of the West in general, they still view that as an extension of us and our power and our influence, and that's why they hate us so much.
That is true.
That's why they call us the great Satan, is because they view Israel as the little Satan, as the extension of what we are.
Yeah.
Well, because Israel can't do what it does without our support, and
that's right.
And right, I don't like when people say it's an outpost of the West, because they're not Western. Like they might wear ties, but they
The word is
we
portend. Did they portend to be? They
yeah. Well, and the history of how the British were involved is kind of an important lesson, I think, right now for what happened. Because basically, you had the British were used as the sledgehammer, right? They were used as the broom to sweep people away, and this was done through leverage from the Rothschilds. And the Rothschilds had already bought a bunch of land. They had started the Zionist project in the late 1800s. Britain in World War I was basically convinced to try to partition the Middle East. And like even that, it was like seriously hampering the British war aims because they were getting hammered on the French front, but were like taking assets away to send to the Middle East, even though it was an actual important theater. It was all in line with this like globalist plan. And so, then the Rothschilds use their influence in America and say, hey, we can get America into this war on the side of Britain. You just have to help us get land for the Jews in Palestine. So it was a grubby deal that got made in which Britain would be the military force that would clear out the area so that a Jewish state could be established. And it was only when the British started pushing back on some of the Jewish settlers that had arrived and started trying to limit them and actually started trying to like contain the limits of the mandate that they were operating, then the Israelis started the terrorist campaigns, the King David Hotel and all of these things to drive out the British. And the British basically just went, we're washing our hands of the whole situation. And didn't want to waste our, the British.
We got a huge super chat from JX Kitch. War Room with Harrison is my favorite show.
Thank you for the super chat. Big 50.
Thank you, JX Kitch.
So much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, that's important to understand is that seems to be, in my opinion, what's happening with America here is that we'll be used as the broom. We'll be used as the military power to help clear the land. But once that happens and we're no longer needed, it'll be terrorist attacks and false flags against us to drive us out of the region so that the rightful owners can take it over.
Okay. So then, I try to also think about this, like, what's the solution? Because first of all, you're not going to kick the Israelis out of the land. I mean, it's pretty much an established part of land that everybody has to.
Well, they have nuclear weapons.
Accept the fact that even the Muslims have to accept the fact that like it is what it is. It's been conquered. Just like America came in and conquered America.
Ain't that interesting?
No, but
ain't that interesting how it's okay for them to do it? Ain't that something?
It's not me justifying it. I'm saying it. We are.
Oh, you're being accurate. I'm not. I don't disagree.
Yeah, we're at the situation, right? So it's been conquered. That is the land. What needs to happen in order for it to be peace? Because the Israelis aren't just like, they're not like, we want to occupy Iran. That's not what it is. And it's not necessarily that they want to occupy like some of the other regions. Like they leave Jordan alone. I think the major thing is like I said, that negative feedback loop where, Iran and a lot of the proxies have constantly been like, we hate you guys. You guys have not let this region go. And all the stuff that happens in the West Bank and Gaza also incite and refuel that hatred. And it's a constant like, so is it like, okay, Iran, Lebanon, they step away, they let things be, and then you let Israel be? Like, how do we get to a point where it just, that region becomes peaceful? Because it's not going to be conquering after conquering. Like Israel's not going to be able to conquer that whole region. They don't want to at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're trying to.
No, they're carving out they're carving out protection for themselves at the end of the day. Like it really
is. The greater Israel project a protection project? Do they need parts of Syria? Do they need parts of Lebanon? Do they need parts of Egypt? Do they need parts of Jordan for security?
Go ahead. You can answer that.
No, I don't think they do. No, I think it's about, I mean, there's two methods that they have. There's either sort of what they do in the West Bank and what they do in Gaza, which is where they're in charge basically, but it's not Jewish people there, or they quote unquote Judaize a place where they say, and their words are, first they sterilize a place by wiping everybody out there, and then they re-Judaize it by having nothing but Jews live there. So, I think they could do either one, or a combination of the both. But no, the Greater Israel Project is it's also in part ways, I think it's a red herring, because I think the ultimate goal is to use the prophecies of the Abrahamic religions, obviously, bring forth the Antichrist, have sort of the pro-Antichrist factions of the Abrahamic faiths all fold into this one sort of ecumenism. But at the end of the day, it's about having the state of Israel as a capital of the global government, in the same way that Washington, D.C. is the capital of America. So imagine just Washington, D.C., but everybody there is Jewish, and it's the Jewish capital, but it rules the rest of the country like Washington, D.C. does right now. That, but on a world scale, I think is the ultimate goal.
Which regions do you think they would occupy? I mean, Israel's not a lot of people at the end of the day. Like, how do you? You're talking about regions with millions and millions of people. Like, I don't see how they could realistically do that if that is what you believe that their intention is at the end of the day.
AI robot guards. I don't think that is impossible. I mean, how do they do it with Gaza? How do they do it with the West Bank? You have surveillance AI. You have dehumanization campaigns to demoralize people. I mean, there are ways to do it. It's it's not possible. It's been done before. It's just evil, but that's the way it works.
Liberal. Happy
all very liberal.
La human smuggling, fentanyl deaths, forced government euthanasia. Liberal.
Yeah, and look, if everywhere outside of Israel is a war zone, like that's fine, right? I mean, the point of the New World Order is to create a condition of endless war against everybody that is not inside the system, right? So whatever's inside the system matters. Whatever's outside the system.
Well, on the American side, this has just gotten our senators like Lady G, Lindsey Graham, more and more excited. Wes, can we go ahead and pull up Cuba is next in the Google Doc? I want to play this for Harrison. The American people, they've signed on for more war. They voted for it. That's what Trump represents, apparently. And Lindsey Graham is very happy about it. So get ready for the next invasion. We're going to get this ready to play.
I'm not looking for a fair fight. If we get in a fight, I want to win it. I want to win it quick. I'm in Miami. You see this hat? Free Cuba. Stay tuned. Yep. The liberation of Cuba is upon us. It's just a matter of time now. You see this hat? Make Iran great. President Trump said the only way to make Iran great is for the people to take over. We're marching through the world. We're cleaning out the bad guys. We're going to have relationships with new people that will make us prosperous and safe. I've never seen anybody like it. This is Ronald Reagan plus. Donald Trump is resetting the world in a way nobody could have dreamed of a year ago. He is the greatest commander-in-chief of all time. Our military is the best of all time. Iran is going down, and Cuba is next.
All right. Well, we'll be watching what's next on Cuba. For sure, got a lot of hats there. The president.
Yeah, Cuba makes zero sense to me. That was not on the bingo card for me.
Well, they want it. They want to take over all of South America. That's Rubio's pet project.
Well, it's also, the list of countries without a Rothschild bank is becoming slimmer and slimmer as the years go on.
I mean, yeah, if you get Cuba, you got another base, right? You got another, layer of protection where China and Russia can't necessarily do anything to you. I think that's what this all is, right? I think Venezuela was the first move. You got China influence there. Let's take them out. Also, a lot of other South American countries have some sort of China trying to position themselves in the Western Hemisphere through loans, owning certain things. We took the Panama Canal back. You can see the writing on the wall of what this bigger play is. We just don't want China to be in that number one slot, and we're willing to take anything in order to make that happen.
I think a lot of it is about the banks, too. To Harrison's point, it's like, hey, kid, we just blew up your school. Don't worry, we're going to have the IMF in your country real soon. I think
yeah, that is true.
It's just about like when we had Simon Dixon on the show. You got to get Simon Dixon on your show, Harrison. He's like, no shade at you. He's like the best guest we've ever had. He broke things down in such an eloquent way, talking about transnational capital and all of these interests. They want to control the assets of every country. That's what it's about. That's what it's a giant kleptocracy, oligarchy, whatever you want to call it.
It is, but they also print money out of thin air. So, they're not actually, the resources matter. The natural resources do matter to a certain degree. But I don't think they matter as much as as other things matter to these people. Because my whole thing, I think I retweeted either that video with Lindsey Graham or a different one where he specifically is talking about how much money we're going to make. And that one he said, we're going to be so prosperous or something.
Yes.
But it's like, who's the we in that sentence? I'm not going to make any money from this. You're not going to make any money from this. Our lives are only going to get worse. Everything we buy is only going to get more expensive. And so to me, it's like, all right, if they actually were that concerned about like the encroachment of China, it's like, but why though? But why? Like, because they care about the American people? I don't think they care about the American people. I think if they cared about the American people, they'd be focused a hell of a lot more on the things collapsing my country and affecting me right now. Like, I think I retweeted that Lindsey Graham video and was like, this elementary school near my house teaches class in Pashtun because there are more Afghan refugees than American children who go there. The homeless camp on my corner regularly catches on fire, and gas is about to hit $4 a gallon. It's like, okay, they can go do all of this stuff and predicate it on, what's best for America, American power. But it's like, to what end at the end of the day? We are being destroyed. We are on a trajectory for absolute collapse and failure. And it seems like the only thing happening right now is the elite class who is avoiding the negative consequences of their action is just like gathering power to themselves while simultaneously crushing people in America. So I don't know, man. To me, the international stuff is largely meaningless because no matter what we benefit from it, we are not the ones benefiting. Like I went off on this on Friday too, because the idea of like the American empire, I love. I get why it's engrossing and why people like to pretend that it's who we are. There's a video of Kai Trump, right? Donald Trump's granddaughter.
With the helicopters. Yeah.
With the helicopters, and she's filming herself like a teenage girl would do, like at a concert or something, only behind her are these V-22 Osprey dual rotor military helicopters. And it was like, but to me, like the image is perfect. It's amazing. It's like an American princess gallivanting around the world with a bodyguard of gunships. And it's like, yes, American power. But it's all just spoiled and rotten by the fact that we don't benefit any of it. We're
concentrated.
Inverted empire.
The have-nots and have-yachts is what I call it.
Very, very true. Very, very true. But don't worry. How old are you, Harrison? How old are you?
36.
Okay, you are now safe. You don't have to worry about this. We do, unfortunately. They're talking about the potential, the possibility, not saying it will happen, not being a sensationalist here, but they're saying that a draft, President Trump, he likes to keep all his options open. He doesn't like to not have options. So he's keeping the option open to have a draft. We're going to play this clip now.
A draft is wild to me.
It is.
This one, I think, this clip is going to be about the short-term pain for long-term gain.
Oh,
I think this is fine, too, because it ties into what Harrison
better.
was saying, because Harrison was saying, like, we don't gain anything, and we actually are going to be struggling.
And
so
this is the new state propaganda that's come down. This is like when they had all those people talking about COVID in the exact same way on the local news. Check out this compilation right here.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers.
We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short term.
Short-term.
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 Short-term and long-term.
Short-term blip. Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefit.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
Okay, these people have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, they're soulless, empty suits. They're robots.
Tell me what was short-term about Iraq. Again, we were thinking that we were going to go in there and everything was going to be fine. That extended like 10 more years than it should have. Afghanistan, same situation.
$9 trillion.
Vietnam, we were there. So what is the long-term gain, Harrison? What are they talking about? Help me understand that, because I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, no, there is literally no argument for a long-term gain. So that makes the whole thing even funnier. But you know why they're saying short-term gain right now, right? because it hasn't lasted that long. Like it went from there's going to be no pain at all, which only works until the pain starts. And then it's got to be short-term pain, which can last for a while until it's ridiculous for you to say short-term pain. And then you need to come up with another phrase to justify why things are still not going well. And again, I think like that alone, that admission that, oh, well, there is going to be short-term pain. They're trying to downplay it as if that's expected and understood and a small price to pay for something longer. But like we need to remind them, like, we're not goldfish. It was literally 5 days ago that you were saying that there would be no pain, that this would be an easy problem. That the admission that there's it's not going so well is actually a pretty big admission that's not going to go well, and they have no idea how long it's going to last. I know they don't know because they didn't know there was going to be pain in the first place. So their prognosis is invaluable in the first place, or completely non-valuable in the first place. So it's like, again, this is all kind of obvious, which is why it's also obvious that it's on purpose. Like I saw a post today, big headline, I think it was the New York Times, saying like the response from Iran was bigger than they expected. American war planners did not expect for them to be able to respond like this. And it's like, well, I expected it for some reason. How did I expect it, but they didn't? It's literally a ridiculous question. They obviously knew how it was going to go. They knew how it was going to go, and they did it on purpose. There's no other possibility.
Dude, you're 100% right. And
we got another
another super chatter. We got Hendrix giving $10. Thank you for the super chat. Harrison is cool. Yes, he is. We love having Harrison on here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Always a pleasure to get to talk to you and get to pick your brain on things. We had the clip, and then we got the other clip. We have it now of
the draft.
Carolyn Levitt talking about, Trump likes to keep his options open, referring to sending young Americans off to go die. So that's pretty interesting.
If the draft happens, I'm breaking a leg.
Well, the thing is, it's like, we'll just go to Mexico. Like
I'm for the draft.
Yeah. You supported it. It's time for Israel.
Well, it's easy for you. You don't have the draft age.
It's time for Israel.
No, I'm in favor of the draft because right now Americans don't give a shit about the war because it doesn't affect them. As soon as you start drafting their sons and daughters, they're going to find out what's going on with the war real fucking fast, and it is not going to go well for the government. This ain't Vietnam. Like, you got to remember, the thing that made the draft work wasn't the threat of punishment. Like, there were people that were willing to go to prison. You could go to Canada. You could go to Mexico. You could fake it. It was social shame. It was the dishonor that you would feel knowing that your neighbor was sent, but you didn't go. Like, that was a holdover. That was a holdover from the previous generations. We don't feel that anymore. The only way to get people to, join the draft now is do what Ukraine does and literally kidnap them. And just be we'll punish not just you, but your family if you try to flee. But that's why I sort of sarcastically say I'm in favor of the draft, because they're never going to institute the draft. The instant they institute the draft, all they're doing in people's minds is telling them, you're either fighting us or you're fighting for us. And people will go, all right, I'm fighting you, motherfucker. Come get me. Right. The American government does not want to put that dichotomy out there for people to go either sacrifice your son for Israel or else you're an anti-American person that hates the government. People are like, okay, then I'm that thing. I'm that second thing. I hate you. I'm not fighting for you. If I'm going to waste my life fighting somebody, it's going to be you in DC. That's what people feel. So
100%
that's
right.
how it goes.
You're 100% right. And you think about it, they were we were still riding off the World War II highs, right? So there was still a lot of nationalism within the country, and there was that duty to your country. And then Vietnam was kind of the inflection point, honestly, where people realized, it's not actually so cool to go into the military. And now you can see they're struggling to actually get their recruitment numbers up. They got these super cool ads like, you could be me with an M16 outside.
You could die overseas.
Yeah, and they make it nothing to do with the military, what it's actually like, because now you have social media. Now we have people with anecdotal experience, and every single person that I have ever talked to, or people who are in my family or friends, they all come out on 100% disability with broken backs and messed up psychology because they have to brainwash you into like being a serial killer. So it's like it's insane.
Yeah, you're a unit, and your job is to kill or to fulfill the objective. And ultimately, that's why like it's not the military's fault. Whatever happens, like God bless the men and women of the armed forces, right?
It's the people at top that decide where they need to go. So go ahead and pull up that clip of the draft, Wes. Let's go ahead and play that real quick.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
While to send Harrison all my money.
Sorry.
It has been, and it will continue to.
Go ahead and rewind. We had a $20 super chat from
you got to turn off text to speech.
Yeah, we'll just pause it next time the video starts. But we got a Honey Badger gave a super chat. We thank you guys. We thank you, Honey Badger, for that. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and rewind it back a little bit.
Ground, as we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
Well, that's fun. All the options are on the table, you know, like the nuke, like the ground invasion, like the draft. Even it's like you say, of course, they're never going to do it because it instantly just like Thanos snap gone. 10% approval rating. I think everyone agrees on what would happen there. But they're deranged. I don't think they care necessarily. They're crazy. There is no plan. The plan is fire. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, I do not think they can run. I don't think they can do the draft. I just don't. I think if they put that into their quantum AI supercomputer, that they do things, you know, that they always talk to before doing things, I think it would say, yeah, don't do the draft. I think it would say, if you do the draft, everyone's going to hang you by your toes, right, and poke you with sticks. Like, I don't think it's going to go well for you. It would go well for the American. It could potentially go very well for the American people. I don't think the American people are going to be like the Ukrainian people and allow themselves to be thrown into vans. Like, I think the instant that starts happening at all, which is why it's important that like free speech exists, that people be able to share that that's what's going on, so that we can, you know, communicate and organize. Like, I think they launched this too soon. I think they launched the whole thing a little bit too soon, but they were going in a negative trajectory anyway. So they're sort of, you know, stuck between a rock and a hard place. But yeah, I don't think there's any possibility that a draft is going to be summoned at any point. And I think really, as Americans, like, we should be protesting, we should be marching, and we should be demanding not just an end to the war against Iran, but that we have to get the Israeli influence out of our government. Like, we have to purge the Israeli influence out of our government so this doesn't happen again. So we don't have to deal with this all the time. This foreign influence trying to get us into wars overseas. Like, I do think we need to be mobilizing and taking action and joining with people on the left and going, let's get rid of Israel and our government, and then we'll settle everything else. Then we'll decide, you know, with the course America takes. But this war has been catastrophic, and one outcome that has to be sought and driven for by us has to be the expulsion of Israeli influence in our government.
I don't even think it's going to be possible. I'm going to be honest. Like, yeah, I think, you know, if you look at the influence, and there's different groups, the Israelis is one of those big powers. You've got the Saudis, you've got some of the Qataris, you've got
we're not at war for them,
just different. No, you're right. But I'm just saying, like, it's very hard to expel an entire amorphous group that already has power, right? I mean, you're talking about people who make economic decisions, and not just the Israelis. You've got people who are in power here that are Jewish. You've got people who are, you know, they have buddies at the top where they do business. And to be honest, they don't even look at kind of what your nationality is at the top. And I literally just had a conversation with somebody. Do you guys know what the Neom Project is? Like the one that is the line in Saudi Arabia. Well, I one of my buddies was the one that negotiated the deal for the Saudis. And he told me a lot of stuff about that. He was like, at the end of the day, I mean, you'll see the Muslims dealing with the Israelis. You'll see the Americans dealing. Like, they don't care. All the money is just money, and power is power.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with AIPAC? What does that have to do with the people in our Congress, in our Senate, in our executive branch that get their campaigns funded with tens or hundreds of millions of dollars in the case of Trump and some other people, and they do the interest of a foreign country? It doesn't have anything to do with the people. Like, we're working for the state of Israel right now. As a nation,
you're not incorrect.
We're expending tens of billions of dollars of our munitions, our bases, our resources, our energy to defend this country in a war of aggression that they started.
No,
So,
you
like,
are
agree
right.
with your point.
But one thing I'm going to say is like, again, it is multiple groups at the top of that want that agenda, right?
That want this war.
That's okay. But that's fine. That doesn't matter. I'm talking about the Israeli group, and I think we need to get them out. So, the other groups are a different story, the Israeli groups. And I think that now has to be the time that this happens, because previously you could either argue that, well, they're not actually Israeli, they're Americans, they just sort of support Israel. But that can't fly anymore. Israel's gotten us into this war. It's been admitted over and over, as we just played earlier in the show, by Trump himself. And that was after Marco Rubio had said it. And by the way, Trump's statement was worse. Marco Rubio said we had to do it because Israel was going to attack, in which case Iran would have attacked us, and we wanted to minimize our casualties. Trump said we had to do it or else they would have attacked Israel and might have gotten us also. Totally crazy. So, it's like, where previously there was either the defense of, well, they're just Americans, they're just, they can't support their ethnicity, or Israel is our ally. So what's the problem with supporting our ally? We do all sorts of stuff for our ally. This would just be another one of them. I think now we have to say Israel is not an ally. It's actually an enemy, in which case anybody who's Israeli American, you got to pick a side. You're us or them. I mean, think about the fact that Russia might be one of these big groups, but when the Ukraine war in Russia first broke out, I mean, they were banning Russia from the Olympics, and they were burning down Russian themed restaurants in New York City. So yeah, I think that they are powerful. They are, very large, which is why right now has to be the time where, I mean, take the ADL, for example. They can say whatever they want. Jonathan Greenblatt's always saying that he's not Israeli, he's American, but he's Israeli. He goes to Israel, he talks to the Knesset, and he uses the pronoun we. He is Israeli. So, the key here is just going by their actions and going by their, support and past behavior, not what they say. And he's just all right, look, the ADL is an enemy operation, is a foreign government. And again, I think everybody can understand this. Everybody can understand that replace the word Israel with any other country. It's about foreign influence and getting foreign influence out of our decision-making process, because it leads to dead Americans and the impoverishment of America. That's something we can all come together on. And I don't care if it's the ADL or AIPAC or, Stop Anti-Semitism. They need to be investigated. And if they're in contact with the government of Israel, they need to be shut down, not registered as a foreign agent, but shut down because of this pernicious influence. You have to get that ball rolling.
You're 1,000% right, and that was, you literally started getting into my main argument that I was going to make there. The Israel part, 100%, and it needs to be dealt with. I was going to lump all of the interest groups because, we get these giant Boeing jets as a favor, right? For Trump to fly around, but really it's paying for influence. The Israelis do these things where they've got the PAC money and they come in. Every single interest group does something for their particular region, and they don't tie it back to, well, is this going to benefit the average person or the average American? It is all for the benefit of their country specifically. And it may not even be their people, right? It might just be the same situation we have here, where it's the wealthy and the people who are the elites and the ones that are making the decisions. It's the same equivalency in some of these other countries, and their people, they also suffer. So I think this is a dichotomy of, like I said, have yachts and have nots, where, the average person in all of these countries are getting screwed over, and there's no visibility to what's happening inside of these rooms, and they all got to go. It's as simple as that for me. That's why I don't sit there and be well, it's just the Israelis. I like to call everybody out, because I see so much influence coming from MBS and all the things that are happening there. And I'm dude, What do you have to do in order to like building giant skyscrapers? Is that putting food in my mouth? I don't think so. Right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's in that case, it's not even just about foreign influence. It's just about moneyed interests, taking over. And especially when you can have, because then you're talking about a holistic reorganization of the government. Because then you have things like, the Medicare scams, frauds in Somalia and stuff, where it's like, okay, you bring in this population, they get elected to a government, they turn around and give a $200 million contract to somebody who funnels an extra $1 million back to them. I mean, that is certainly destroying us and ripping us, from the inside out. I just think right now is just sort of a very unique opportunity to strike at the heart of Israeli influence specifically in our country, which dictates a lot, and a lot of the downstream things we complain about are downstream of the Israeli influence being either a negative influence on the path of the American government, or simply as distracting the American government for not doing what they should be doing for the American people, and uplifting us first and foremost.
Wow. Well, that was a powerful transmission. We're joined by Harrison Smith tonight. Thank you so much again for coming on. I mean, of course, everyone knows who you are. They're here to watch you. They're really not here to watch us. But if they don't, where can they find you? When are you live?
At Harrison H. Smith on X. You can find me each and every weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. Central Time on Infowars.com/show, band.video. We also stream on X at Infowars, at Real Alex Jones, at War Room Show. And Moonbase Live, we do every other Wednesday, let's just say. That we have an X, and we stream on Rumble and YouTube, all of them at Moonbase Live. Thanks for having me on, guys. This is great. I love doing y'all's show. And y'all have moved up. Last time I was on, it was just y'all two. You didn't even have a studio even, I don't think. I mean, y'all are making slow and steady incremental improvements. It's great.
Yeah, we got King West, we got King Damon. Tim's the one who said all that, who put all that in motion, set it all up, and put it all together. So massive shout out to Tim for really upgrading the production value and quality of the show.
Yeah,
we're trying to do things here on a higher level. We want this to be like really fun space, people to come in and hang out, hear from cool guests, hear cool news, hear the phenomenal deep dives. We're about to do a deep dive tonight on the Iranian sleeper cell thing, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that transmission. I was going to say, I know we're signing off here. We've had Lebanon John on the show before. Really phenomenal guy. Really, really large knowledge base, specifically talking about these topics. I think we'd love to do Moonbase X Gray Area. I think we'd love to have Harrison and Lebanon John.
100%. Let's
we
get
do a
that
4-way panel.
Yeah,
you got to do a crossover.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. By the way, if y'all want to know anything about the Middle East, just search Lebanon John on my X account, or follow him at Lebanon_John, I think, or go to band.video and search Lebanon John. Cause dude, he knows more about the Middle East than anybody, and just calls everything like years before it happens. It's crazy. So definitely be following him right now, especially when everything, when it comes to Lebanon, is going so crazy. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
100%.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man, and definitely look forward to having you come on again.
Yes, always incredible. The great Harrison Smith of InfoWars Regalia signing off. Thank you so much, man. Really, always the best guests, are they not?
Yeah, dude. I love having Harrison on, honestly.
That's right.
Great guest. You know, he's right. Was he our first guest?
I think
it had to be.
He had to have been. Maybe it was Chase. I'm not sure. It may have been Chase. No,
it was Harrison, and then Chase came on second. And we were in Bin Laden's cave when he last saw us.
Real gray area heads will know this. We know this.
Hey, some OGs shout out in the chat. Let's see some OGs who were there. Who remembers the Bin Laden cave?
We had Honey Badger.
I know. I saw Honey Badger in there.
Sure.
New Groiper had to be there first. I don't even remember our first stream, man. It was so long ago.
Yeah, that's wild, but it wasn't even that long. It was like 6 months ago. It's been a really phenomenal time here on the gray area. We've really developed as a show. I've really enjoyed the development of the deep dive as a segment, because originally it was something where, it was real like wide spectrum analysis, but now we've kind of been zooming in on causational stuff, things that have caused the world that we live in today, or, deep factors,
right,
so to speak.
100%. Yeah. And we are going to cover some of those things on the deep factors, because again, there are probably people who are in here who have not tuned in. This might be your first time. Sunday goes like this. We have a phenomenal guest on. We cover some of the news with that. Now we get into the main meat and potatoes of the show, right?
Hold on, because we had someone in the chat that said I like the cave aesthetic better. Look at how good our shot looks. You see this? Like
we got the on-air sign on lighting.
You got the camera perfect this time, because sometimes we fuck it up a little bit. That's a banger.
Aesthetic.
How are you going to complain about this?
No.
Go ahead. I'm
No,
not complaining.
100%. And look, the reason why we want to continue leveling up more and more is because we love this, right?
Sure.
It's all about. I kid you guys not. I spend more time thinking about the show than I think about like anything else. This is like what I eat, sleep, and breathe. And like while I'm doing the deep research, I'm like, oh, they're gonna love this. They're gonna be excited to know this information because no one else is really showing these things. And that is the love of the game for me. And every single time we do these things, you guys are keeping me going at the end of the day, and Rex.
Yeah, I'm just happy to have an excuse to watch the news all day, 10 hours a day, 20 hours a day. Who knows? Who cares? Who knows what I leave on while I'm asleep? Definitely not Suleiman Space. But after you go to bed, you wake up, it's the same thing. It's the same people having the same conversations. But yeah, we like to do the show. We're getting better at doing the show. We have a lot of really cool things planned. Tonight's going to be shorter. Usually we do like a longer, like an hour of news blitz to accompany the guests, but I'm feeling a little shot today, and we went over a few of the things we wanted to talk about with Harrison. Of course, key things to keep in mind, Iranian war update. Our bases are still on fire. Embassies are still on fire. Bahrain is really heavily being hit. Dubai is still being hit. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia is still being hit. Tehran is on fire. They have a giant acid oil storm, a giant apocalypse cloud over the city of 12 million people. And of course, Israel is still being pummeled and hit by missiles as well. There's still full and total war over there. But getting into it all tonight, we're going to talk about the Iranian sleeper cell phenomena. I'm not sure if I buy it, but we're going to figure it out.
It is a little bit complicated, but also simple at the same time.
Okay.
I'm going to cover how the sleeper cell organization works and, if there's any validity to it. And specifically like how that process works. Like, how does somebody become an agent? What does it look like? How are they doing contacts? And then I kind of went through the rabbit hole and then it kind of got into the weeds where I was like, okay, well, we often catch these people a lot of the time. And then it started making me think about like the Kyle Seraphin stuff and how the surveillance works and the government and how are we catching people. And I was like, I want to walk through a hypothetical situation. Like, what would it take for me to go from just being a regular person here to where like the FBI shows up to my door or like So like I went through an entire process to break this down for you guys of like how they actually monitor you, what takes you from like level like 0 essentially to like level 10 where they're like, okay, we got to take this guy out. So that you guys want to stick around.
You don't want to be level 10. That just sounds bad. Hell no. Hell no. Level 10. What is this, brother?
What does this button do?
Oh no.
So we're gonna go ahead and do a little cutscene. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Just wait. We'll be right back. Okay. I'm gonna put.
They tried to kill me. They tried to kill me 2 times, and I'm still alive. I'm still your president. I've taken you to war. Donald J. Trump.
Don't worry, we didn't do our job, sir.
Yeah, dude.
We let them assassinate you, basically. The FBI. We're not too good at these things.
But I thought you told me those were our own people that did that.
No, it was the Iranians, sir. We knew it. We knew it.
It's weird. I put on the Trump wig and I lose the ability to do the voice. There's something about this. The whole system's rigged. It's all false. It's all a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. It's a lie. It's what it is. I never said that Americans wouldn't die. I said we do what we had to do. I'm Donald J. Trump. People are saying it. Okay, that's a little bit better.
Mr. President, sir.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive, guys. We love to do these costumes. Finally got him, the Trump wig, use your imagination.
Yeah, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get better at this as time goes by, but I do like it. It's kind of crazy. It's a young Trump.
Okay, we got a super chat.
The super chat.
Hey.
Who are you? What happened to Tim? What the hell? I'm your president, Donald J. Trump. I'm an incredible man, the greatest man alive on the planet here today.
CIA agent Tompkins.
But we're not supposed to tell them that. We're supposed to. You work in the media,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun.
Oh, I love this. Okay. So we got a lot of things to cover here. Like I said, first part, we're going to be talking about sleeper cell specifically, right? And then we're going to get into the FBI, CIA, Department of Homeland Security type of stuff. But, we got to understand what exactly is a sleeper agent, and everybody's I just got to give context. I'm sure you guys have some idea. There might be some people who don't, but a sleeper agent is someone who enters a country, right before an attack. They arrive years early is what typically happens. They get a job, they build families, they live normal lives, and then they wait, basically. And then sometimes for many years without doing anything at all.
Activated.
Yeah, get activated, right? Yeah. And their job isn't about attacking. It's simply being inside the country until the time, if it ever comes, right? And then basically, this makes the sleeper agents different than normal spies because most spies are active. And sleeper agents are planted and then they go to sleep night. And
they take a long nap and they wake up and attack America. Exactly.
Yeah. And so here's the part most people don't understand or misunderstand is despite the movie suggest, major investigations over the last 2 decades have not uncovered large networks of dormant sleeper agents inside of the United States. We do a pretty good job of investigating and, but intelligence agencies still study the concept very closely because sleeper agents do exist. We're not going to say that they don't. There is very clear evidence that they do exist, but again, it's very hard when they are lying dormant. So let's go ahead. I want to show a video of somebody. His name is we're not playing this one, Wes. There's a video of Mansour Arabarisar. I don't know how to pronounce these names, man. Something. Mansour. Can we go ahead and pull up that video? And this is gonna be like a case of a sleeper agent, kind of showing you guys the context here.
Sleeper, I barely know her. What are you talking about?
Character that I observed.
Can't believe it either.
A little bit hard to believe.
He's the most unlikely linchpin of an alleged Iranian plot to kill diplomats in the United States. Mansour Arbabsir was born in Iran but has lived in the US for more than 30 years. Prosecutors allege the failed car salesman was recruited by the elite Al-Quds force of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard to secure the backing of a Mexican drug cartel to carry out an assassination in Washington. In Corpus Christi, the Texas town he called home, he was known as Jack because of his love of whiskey. People who knew him believe the allegations are ridiculous.
Somebody need to take care of Jack. He's just like a baby. He couldn't do anything himself. So he would put socks wrong foot, different colors. That's what kind of person he was.
Al Jazeera has discovered Arbabsir was on the edges of the city's drug culture. He was not religious and visited prostitutes. He had a number of minor criminal convictions, but but no obvious links to Mexican drug cartels.
He might have partied and did what he wanted to do, but nothing in that, you know. I mean, when you start messing around with the people down south and the people over there, you're messing with the boys you don't need to be messing with.
He often travelled to Iran and boasted of a cousin, a general who he claimed worked undercover, but also appeared on international TV channels. John Perry was Arbabsir's lawyer.
There's nothing that indicated to me that he would have that kind of character or personality or motive or any. I can't even come up with an idea.
The picture that's emerging of Jack, as he was known when he lived here, is someone who was more interested in money than politics. Someone who could never organise anything on the scale suggested by the government. In the official federal complaint, it's revealed that the suggestion to target the Saudi ambassador to the US came from the federal informant and not Arbabsir.
Okay,
the informant used.
Okay, go ahead and cut back to us. I mean, so like, you know, it was very hard to find, you know, an instance of like of a sleeper cell agent who actually like committed a specific crime, and you know, it's very hard to prove that these people exist. But this one was a pretty clear circumstance where this guy had, you know, been in the United States for a certain amount of time, and people didn't know who he was. They were like, "Oh, that's just Joe down the street. He's not innocent. He wouldn't do anything." So now we got to understand like how Iran built its covert network, because, you know, Iran's modern strategy, it began in 1979, and go ahead and pull up that image of the Quds Force. Is that how I pronounce it?
Dude, this hair thing's freaking me out. It's completely freaking me out. It's fucked up. Like, I look so much better even with the fake hair. It gave me a glow up. Now I'm jacked for no reason. And I take the thing off and I look like shit. It's fucking. I gotta get the hair transplant. Oh man. Okay, sorry. I don't mean to derail a deep dive.
No, you're totally fine. Oh my god. You know, you look like one of those guys from like the 80s or 90s.
Dude, well, this is kind of what my hair used to look like. I have wavy hair. Yeah, I kind of have a Jufro. So
okay, we'll get you.
This is a flashback.
Hey, we'll get you to Turkey one of these days.
This is traumatic. You can't do this. You can't. You're messing with the forces of nature. Go ahead.
Anyways, let's go ahead and pull up that image. Yeah, go ahead and show that real quick. We got a super chat.
And thank you so much.
You guys are amazing tonight. Wow, this is insane. Okay, let's see where we're going here.
Yeah, definitely not cocaine. There's no cocaine involved in any of this.
Thank you for the super chat, guys. Wow,
hey,
another super chat. It is. It's just so small.
Okay, we got to fix.
I got to figure out why.
Thank you,
so
Hendrik.
small.
You're awesome.
Yeah,
man.
dude. You're really awesome.
Really
we appreciate
awesome, and it supports the show. It really keeps it going.
It goes all back into the show. So if you look at these guys, basically the regime created this, you know, the IRGC, right? And that's the Islamic Revolution Guard Corps. And then soon after they were formed, they had operations unit called the Quds Force or something like that. I think that it's QUDS, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it's pronounced. Right. So its job was basically to expand Iran's influence outside of its borders. And then Iran understood early that it couldn't defeat countries like the United States through direct military war. So it invested in like an asymmetric type
That's
of
what
warfare.
You got to do.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. And this means that it's like using covert networks, proxy groups, intelligence operations instead of like large armies. And basically these networks include intelligence operatives. You've got proxy organizations like Hezbollah, logistics and networks overseas. And, you know, many of the people involved aren't even Iranian citizens, which is the crazy part. And so let's go ahead and I think I have a picture of the proxy group there. Go ahead and pull that up. I think that'll kind of give some context here to show you guys kind of how they're I mean, it's kind of crumbled a little bit with what the United States and what Israel have done.
Money.
Another super chat.
Mordecai the Jew donated $5. Why not let a Chabad rabbi on to offer their side of the story? Against character for Harrison. I am close with many TX Chabad rabbis and can set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
we'll look. Hey, we're
the gray area.
We have. We'll have an imam on. We'll do whatever. Okay. Whatever floats your boat.
I'm gonna be honest. I have tried to find someone from like the Israeli side, Jewish side, because we don't want to just be on one side or the other. The whole point is there's gray area truths, right? It's not just one side or the other.
But they're getting asked about the third temple. They're going to get asked about the red heifer and all.
Yeah, and no questions are off the table at the end of the day. So we will try. Just comment back in the chat and reach out to us, and we'll see about we'll see about like if we can get something set up like that. So thanks for the super chat, appreciate it though. So can we pull up that graphic there? Okay, zoom in a little bit. Maybe I need to pull it up here too.
I can see it, but maybe if you need to see it, I can read it.
Okay, go ahead.
So we got Palestinian territories. We've got Hamas. We've got Palestinian Islamic Jihad. We've got Bahrain. You're right. I actually can't read those.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm pulling up.
It's just a lot of something names, so it's hard to.
Okay.
So So Ansar Allah, which is the Houthis, which is actually a derogatory term, the Yemeni people over in Yemen. Then in Bahrain, you've got the Al-Ashtar Brigade, and then the Sharia al-Muqtar, or however you say that. And then in Iraq, you've got Kataib, Hezbollah, Asab al-Haq, Hakarat Hezbollah, al-Nubjaba, Badur organization.
Yeah, we don't have to read them all.
I got to do it. Kataib, Shahid al-Shahada. Up in Syria, you got Zarnibiyun Brigade.
Zarnibiyun.
What Zarnabiyun. Okay. Fatamayun Division. Okay, we read it. Whatever. A lot of different groups, a lot of factions.
And a lot of these have been taken down since then, except for like Hezbollah, and the Houthis are still around. But a lot of the groups in Syria are no longer as strong as they used to be. But nonetheless, one thing I wanted to start kind of understanding is like, how does a sleeper agent actually get activated? And so it kind of works like in these ways. And obviously it's very hard to actually get down to the truth and understand what's really the case, because again, are you going to really reveal your secrets? But we can kind of work around and work backwards to kind of how these situations play out. But sleeper agents typically are activated during major geopolitical events like the one we currently are in, or retaliation operations or political crises. But the way that they receive instructions is actually pretty simple often. Like movies show spy networks that use advanced technology, but real intelligence networks often do the opposite. They communicate as little as possible, right? So sometimes years pass with no contact at all. And then when communication does happen, it can be very low tech. Go ahead and pull up that website that I showed that I have that shows the history of the Cold War and some of the other aspects of how they were reaching out to their sleeper cells, because this is going to be pretty cool. But like historically, spies have used these things like code phrases, hidden message, signals placed inside public broadcasts. You've got instructions passed through, intermediaries, and you've got like, there's a lot of different ways. But yeah, get that pulled up. I'm going to see if I can actually pull up this other thing as well. We're going to read some of these dead drop. It's the first one on there. Yeah. Okay, so let's scroll down a little bit and put this. So keep scrolling. Let's go to the first one here. So like it just looks like a regular mailbox, and a signpost should be discreet, but it's quickly removable, and it basically can be, something that people won't notice. But if you go and scroll down just a little bit, yeah, you see that little red X in the top right corner? So this was framed during the Cold War, and chalk marks often on public mailboxes, and this is similar here. But basically, this was a drop point, basically, for somebody to go and pick up a piece of information. This was something that happened in 1985. They used something like this. Keep scrolling down. Let's look at the window situation here going on. This is another example. You just look at a regular window here. You're like, there's nothing, suspicious about this house. And then you see a little red dot in the corner. So like, this is another way. They get even crazier than this. Like, keep scrolling down. This pen situation, I don't know what this is, but it's a drop spike that could be
Trump's
loaded with a
Sorry about that. The wig is taking over.
Oh my God. Yeah, so there's like a hidden message that could be, and guys, these are real, by the way. These aren't fake. Keep scrolling down. I want to see the coin one. I've never seen this before.
Coins without ridges.
That is crazy. Yeah, look at that. That's another way that you can get a message. You've got screws. That's insane. And then the last one I'll show there is the what is this, like a Coke can or something like that? I think it's like you were on it there before, Wes.
They should put the messages
Zoom in
inside
on
of
that.
bags of cocaine, and that way people will be very interested.
Yes. And then you can see, if you zoom in, there's basically a hard drive that's in there. So like, these are different ways that you could get a dead drop in order to communicate with your Iranian or your at-home base if you're a sleeper agent.
No, and here's the thing. I'll back you up a little bit. People want to say that it's all like Mossad is the only thing that exists in the Middle East. That's the only intelligence agency. If you think about it, just from the Russia-Ukraine example, the Ukrainians have the second best military in Europe, not by any virtue of their own, but because they've had to fight the best military in Europe, which is Russia, right? So if you're an intelligence agency, the Iranian one, and you have to contend with the Mossad, you're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, they are capable.
At the end of the day.
That actually is a very good
100%
analysis.
Capable. Well, I see people here's the thing. I don't buy into it. I think that it is a false flag narrative, but there is definitely truth in it. They 100% do have people over here. You can't say that they don't. It would be fools not to.
And getting perfect into the next part, go ahead and pull up the FBI agent. She's an ex-FBI agent that was involved in these terrorist criminal, and she pretty much explains what you're talking about here. Because most people are like, you can put your head in the sand and pretend like it doesn't exist, but they do exist. Now, to what extent? I have no idea, because again, it's very hard to prove who's a sleeper agent. I mean, you're going to think that Bobby down the street is got bombs ready to go.
Well, I definitely don't think it's some of the people they've claimed it was. Like Thomas Matthew Crooks is not an Iranian.
Well, the reason why that one happened, why they think that, is because there was another guy who got caught, and he was planning a similar assassination attempt, and he was linked to Iran. And then he basically went out and he said,
you're talking about the second guy. I believe his name is Ryan, the guy on the golf course, right?
No, not that guy. There's another guy that got caught for different reasons.
I'm talking about people that have had guns and been in the vicinity of DJT. That's my bad.
Well, he was saying the Crooks situation specifically. He was saying that he had planned a similar attack, and he thinks that was another Iranian. And this is a guy who was contacted by the Iranian government and was trying to assassinate Trump.
Interesting.
So
play the clip.
Go ahead and play that clip.
Walder, News Nation national security contributor, former staff operations officer for the CIA's Counterterrorism Center, also formerly with the FBI with us now. Tracy, good to see you. Perfect guest for this. As I watched cable news all day today, it said on the bottom of the screen, "Does Iran have sleeper cells?" ? And I thought to myself, it would be more shocking if they didn't have people that they'd infiltrated over the southern border in the past 4 years than if they did.
Well, thank you for having me, Leland. And you're absolutely right. I don't even understand why this is a question. I hate to be so blunt, but that's how I feel about it. They have sleeper cells here. They have, quite frankly, for decades. I don't actually think that this is new. I think we may have more of an influx, right, that we're discussing, but this isn't new. They're here. They have been here. They are just waiting for the right moment. And the fact that we're curious and questioning as to whether or not they're here is actually very shocking to me.
All right. So the Ayatollah, America will suffer if America gets involved in the war. Take a listen.
America's intervention in this matter is 100% to their detriment. What they will suffer in this regard is much greater than what Iran may suffer. The damage America will suffer if it makes a military intervention in this field will undoubtedly be irreparable.
What does a sleeper cell attack look like? Is this another 9/11 or something different?
I think it could be a combination. I actually don't think it's going to look like a 9/11 type attack, a very complex attack. That's really what 9/11 was. It required a lot of money, a lot of financing, and a lot of planning. I don't think that's what we're going to see here, because obviously the world has changed, right, in the last 25 years. And there's been a lot of success in these kind of lone wolf or inspired by attacks. And so I think they're going to be kind of more lone wolf style. I also think that we could be looking at attacks to our critical infrastructure as well that we are not expecting. So I think it's going to look less like a 9/11 style attack, sort of shock and awe, if you will, and more in an unsuspecting way. And I actually am very concerned about our critical infrastructure.
Yeah, you think about July.
Okay, go ahead and cut back to us.
Yeah, it just scares me for like whether it's going to be real or whether it's going to be a false flag. Things will happen over here eventually.
Like, I'm confused whether the Austin guy who shot up Buford's was one of those people,
that seems more like a CIA operation to me. It's like, well, I show up, I wear the T-shirt, I do the act, and then that domestically galvanizes support for retaliation against the people
would be wild
doing it. Well, I mean, that's what our government is known to do. But I also do think that they have people over here. I don't discount that. I think two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. And now here's the part that people get wrong is like sleeper cells are far fewer than the movies suggest. So even after decades of counterterrorism investigations, most intelligence agencies have not uncovered large numbers of dormant sleeper agents inside of the United States. And many of the sleeper networks that were created were never activated at all. So they sit quietly for years, sometimes decades. They exist as a strategic backup, but intelligence agencies still monitor very closely during the political crises, and they're very alert at this point, right? Because if a conflict suddenly escalates, networks were being quietly built over here, this could become, an issue very quickly. So, they're not everywhere, not all at once, but specific places where there are networks that do exist. And so that is why you have counterintelligence investigations that often take years. Now, this gets into where I started to get in the weeds. I'm like, okay, the sleeper agent thing, I was hoping to find something more juicy there, but I was like, they're there, but we don't know what extent. But then I was like, well, we're always constantly finding people that are trying to create, terrorist acts or situations. And I'm like, how maybe you didn't make this joke with your friends, but I used to be like, well, I'm going to go on your laptop and type on how to make a bomb. And have them send the black.
That's classic. That's absolutely classic.
So that's where my mind went, was like, okay, well, is there any validity to like if you actually started doing that? Is the FBI going to automatically investigate
where to
you?
buy a nuclear weapon? Where to buy white phosphorus?
Yes. So, Kyle Seraphin would have probably been better to go through this specifics, but this is stuff that's publicly available that I was able to stitch together to form a picture. But of course, the things are like way deeper than what I can go into, because why would they put their secrets out on the internet?
Sure.
So let's walk through this scenario, right? Say you're just a normal person. You wake up, you check your phone, you drive to work, you order something online. Nothing about your life seems unusual. But, every move leaves a trail, essentially, with every single move that you're making. When your phone connects to a tower, it logs all the time on the network, silently pinging all night. It's logging your location every few minutes through triangulation. Signals that are basically that are towers that are able to find your position. And the other thing that you need to understand is that like your IP address is also stamped online. You've got traceable things like your Wi-Fi, your MAC address. All these different things leave like breadcrumbs essentially.
I'm texting Netanyahu right
now. When you drive past traffic cameras or toll readers, your license plate gets recorded. Can you pull up this image of an ALPR system? Because it really surprised me. I was like, wait, that's what those are? Sometimes they look like traffic cameras, like to give you a speeding ticket. And go ahead and show that. This is one example. Zoom in. So you see, like you've ever seen and you've driven by and you see like these cameras all across the corners and things like that.
Sure.
You've got those ones, and then you've got ones that are actually on the top of cop cars. Go ahead and pull up the other picture too. Switch to that one. Yeah, do you see that one? Zoom in on that a little bit. We see these all. Those are actually called automatic license plate recognition, and they're cameras that automatically you got another super chat.
Thank you for
the super chat. We appreciate it.
Mentioning the FBI in a tweet generates a tip report to them. Saw multiple of them in the Epstein files from Doodling Art Man. Thank you for the 5.
Thank you for the 5. Appreciate it.
Wow. I believe it.
I believe it too. But it's like it's very interesting. And so like they're basically taking your license plate, they're capturing timestamps also in with the GPS, and federal law enforcement databases are basically taking this information essentially.
Right.
So also when you buy something online, that transaction moves through networks and banks. So you've got encryption gate logging, you've got hashed cards that are scrambling your security, you've got device fingerprints, your browser, your history, those types of things. When you fly, your name goes into an airline passenger database. And so
that's nice.
It's called a PNR record, and it's basically the airline reservation data. And the DHS, which is the Department of Homeland Security, mirrors that list, by the way. So none of this means that anyone's specifically watching you, not trying to freak you guys out. But it does mean that if investigators need to ever understand anything about your life, they can rebuild where you've been, who you've interacted with, and they basically can subpoena all of that data.
They'll track you
within
from
within your cell with the heat maps and the tracking where your car is going through those ALPR tracking routes like breadcrumbs. So they never you never see the trail that's left behind. You just go about your daily life. So most people don't have to worry about it unless you're doing something crazy online. Be careful. While I was doing this research, I was kind of nervous. I'm like, is the FBI gonna like me doing this stuff? Like,
no, you're a good citizen.
Giving out all these goodies and telling people how to kind of do things the interesting way. But anyways, now imagine one day you do something that makes the system uncomfortable. Like maybe you spend too much time near a restricted area taking pictures. Maybe you ask strange questions about security procedures. Maybe you end up purchasing something that triggers a compliance warning within a store system, right? And there's an employee that fills out a report. It isn't dramatic, but usually in just a short time, it's just a short entry within the system. And so it's like something like individual observed filming entrance checkpoint for an extended period of time, or appeared to focus on security personnel positions. Like there's things like that, right? And so that report is it's shared into a shared reporting system that's used by law enforcement. And so it's logged in by FBI eGuardian, which is a system they use. And then the Department of Homeland Security has this thing called a suspicious activity report. Let's pull that up real quick. This is something like, you see something, say something, but this gets clocked in to the system. Let me pull up this picture for you. Sorry, guys. Okay. So
suspicious activity information, you put the date or date range of the suspicious activity, you put the category of it, you put the total monetary amount. They're really interested in the money, financial services involved in the suspicious activity, and then you send it in.
Yeah, simple like that. So, there's a bunch of things. CCTV can take screenshots, but the report is routed to a bunch of fusion centers where they're the intelligence hubs where they share information between agencies. So that was a big thing that we did, especially after 9/11, where we had a lot of agencies that didn't have congruency between all the agencies, like local law enforcement to the town level, all the way up to the federal level. They didn't have any ability to have the same information, which creates a big problem. And so they created these centers to basically aggregate all of that information. So let's say like months pass, you move on with your life, but something else unusual happens. Maybe you send money to someone who's already being investigated, or they're already looking at, through like some, Swift financial system, like, I don't know, Visa, MasterCard, or you get reported over thresholds of the anti-laundering laws. And there's another possibility. Maybe you communicate with somebody who's connected to the existing investigation, and you're logging. They're basically emailing. They're looking at your emails with that person, logging the metadata, those types of things. And so maybe also there's another scenario where there's a security officer somewhere who kind of files a similar report, like TSA does something, like you see something, say something. That thing exists as well. But again, it doesn't mean there's more to that story. So now the analyst is now reviewing the reports. They notice something strange. The name appears twice, 2 reports, different locations, different days. And now they're starting to ask simple questions. They're like, are these events connected? And then it gets flagged by an AI system like Palantir, which is a very big thing that's coming up. Let's pull up that article there, Wes, because this is going to be important for us to look at here. Everyone kind of, even I misunderstood what Palantir really is. Let's see if we can make this work, because it's going to be kind of hard to read this.
What Palantir does, explain to someone that's retarded.
So scroll down a little bit. Okay, so let me actually pull it up here for you.
This is where they'll tell you the most truth. The company was founded by Peter Thiel, first major Facebook investor, and Alex Karp in 2003. Alex Karp, coincidentally, his lower calling, as he says, you have a higher calling, you have a lower calling. He wants to use drones to spray protesters with a light fentanyl mixed urine. Very interesting. Saw that on video. Palantir initially gained traction through government contracts, particularly with US DoD, for its data integration and analysis capabilities. The company is often mentioned alongside buzzwords like data analytics, military intelligence, AI, and big data. The company is not your usual consumer-facing tech company. They work with the U.S. government, NATO, and Fortune 500 companies.
Scroll down a little bit more. Skip a little bit of this. We don't care about that. Okay. So this is the part. They sell software, not data. This is very big. Okay, scroll down. Yeah, let's read this. Start reading this. So in a Quora Q&A,
early Palantir employee Kevin Simler explained, at Palantir, we specialize in analysis. In real-world terms, we are building a software platform that enables people to take whatever data is relevant to them and understand it more easily and thoroughly than ever before, using concepts that they already understand. The first important thing to note is we don't actually do the analysis ourselves. We don't devise winning trading strategies, and we don't catch terrorists. We write software that enables other people to pull off those feats. So they're making apps.
Yeah, and this gets even better here.
If you're a visual learner, take a look at this, and we'll scroll down.
Can you zoom in on that, please? Okay, so this is kind of like, okay, so you've got data, just a bunch of data. And this is typically what happens. You've got information like we were talking about earlier. You've got breadcrumbs with your life. There's all different things that you're doing, random events, things like that. And it's very hard for a person to process this. So they take the data of all of those data points and then they start sorting that out, right? And then it goes into an arranged situation and then it gets visually presented. And so you can scroll down just a little bit. And then Palantir builds you the house, essentially, to give you the entire picture of this person. Sure, that's insane. So now scroll down just a little bit. So first, Palantir is not a data company. It's a software company. But what kind of software? It basically helps organizations make sense of massive amounts of data in high-stakes environments. What high-stakes environments are we talking about? Let's say when we say high-stake environments, in the context of Palantir, we are talking about situations and decisions of data that can have major consequences. So scroll down. For example, lives, money, national security. For example, when COVID-19 hit, Palantir was tapped by the government to help manage vaccine distribution, hospital resource planning, and outbreak tracking. Scroll down just a little bit. So let's use a metaphor. Here's how I describe it. Think about a computer without an operating system. No Windows, no Mac, just raw hardware. It's powerful, but nearly impossible to use effectively without the right interface. It's just chaos.
Well, that's the thing is that like the data collection that they did over the years, they always say like, well, what are you going to do with all this tracking data? Why do you need all this info on Americans? And they didn't have the means until now with AI to actually render all the data. That's what you're talking about.
And this is now the next piece of technology that gives them the last key to the last key to the kingdom. So Palantir does this for business and governments. What operating systems did for computers. It turns complex scattered data into something usable, and actionable, and even intuitive. That is why they often call themselves the operating system for the modern enterprise. Okay, how it's used, we'll go through this very quickly. Unlike many tech companies, our business model is not based off of what does that say? Monetization of personal data. We do not collect, store, or sell personal data. We do not use personal data to train proprietary AI, machine learning models, or resell other customers.
It's not personal anymore after the government takes it.
We never facilitate the movement of data between clients except for those specific clients that have entered into an agreement with each other. Scroll down. And then they have a bunch of offerings. Scroll down. And then it basically says Palantir's value does not lie in collecting data, but organizing interesting visuals. So think about it as a hospital system, a car manufacturer, logistics firm. Okay, cut back to us. So that kind of gives you a bigger picture. It doesn't really, it's still ambiguous, isn't it? It doesn't give me enough data to understand. Like, and again, I've been lied to before.
They're working with the government. They have access to all the information that the government has. So of course they're not using personal data to train models. It's not personal anymore after the government takes it and builds a society-wide file on everyone.
That's a good point. That's a fantastic.
So like
point.
that's how they work. That's how they operate. And of course, like all these things, we had someone in the chat say like Thomas Jefferson would be rolling in his grave, or that he would be ashamed. You're absolutely correct, because like the founding fathers, they had no way to anticipate a large language model.
No,
they had no way to anticipate a cell phone. They had no means to anticipate the crisis in the Middle East over oil. Like these are why we need to reexamine like how our government works, and maybe add additional protections like a digital Bill of Rights and other things. Like we need modern protection for sure.
Yes, 100%. Now let's continue with our narrative here. So like, when you go through this whole thing and they start asking questions, now someone actually pulls your file, right? Using Palantir. They run an analysis through databases. They use tools like the FBI's National Crime Information Center. Your travel history starts appearing from the data points that they got before through like an automatic targeting system that the DHS Traveler Risk Analysis System, they have that. Vehicle registration. I mean, they're pulling every single piece of information together. So they also pull open source information too. Okay. So like there's these tools that map public information and connections. So let's pull up that video. It's called Maltego. And this is something that I was like, what is this? And these are tools that like our FBI agencies and Department of Homeland Security are just using. And I had no idea until I started looking into this stuff. Like, dude, the technology is getting better and better and better. Go ahead and pull this up.
In the time it takes to pour your coffee, a criminal's trail can go cold. That's how fast key digital leads can vanish. Can your tools keep up? Or does your team spend most of their time jumping between tools with data everywhere, except where you actually need it? Decisions that could save time, money, or even lives take way too long. And with threats moving faster than ever, you can't afford to get stuck searching for answers. What if your team had all your internal data and open source intelligence in one place? Had an analytical toolkit for every investigation and could collaborate across teams? And maybe even lower your stress levels for once. Meet Maltego, the all-in-one cyber and OSINT investigation platform that brings together all the data and tools your team needs to solve cases fast and with precision. From real-time monitoring to finding all hidden connections, your team can get the answers they need in a fraction of the time and without the usual headaches. Whether you're chasing down criminals, protecting public safety, or keeping your company out of the headlines, Maltego gives you the clarity to make decisions when the stakes are high, backed by reliable intelligence for every scenario. Cut down investigation time by conducting deep and complex link analysis with all your data in one place. Generate full profiles of your suspects with reliable, verified intelligence, wherever you are. Monitor multiple social media platforms to get real-time updates on high-impact events and crises as they unfold. Collect and analyze hard-to-reach social media data anonymously and preserve critical digital evidence before it disappears. Trusted by thousands of government organizations, law enforcement agencies.
Come back to us. Yeah, I mean, technology's getting crazy, man. There's a market for this stuff. So, like, they can build a profile on you in, like, no time. Everything you guys are posting on X, that's out there. Every single thing that you're doing in your daily life, that's out there. And these things like Palantir and Maltego and these apps basically just make it super easy to build a database and a profile of you. They know who you are, what your interests are, what you talk about, all of these different things. And that's not to scare you, but like, again, part of me is like, there's the bad side where everybody's like, oh, everybody's spying on us and stuff. But like, I mean, dude, if you got to find bad guys, like this is the way to do it too. I mean, it's significantly harder to commit crimes this way, as well as like terrorist attacks.
Minority Report.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, this case opens up quietly. If the signal looks serious enough, the investigators start a preliminary review. Okay. And then they go ahead, they may check who you communicate with, court order, metadata, all these different things, right? And then they basically say who you travel with. They check your flight manifestos, all of those different things. And then they actually start using deeper tools like wiretaps. And I wanted to understand, how do wiretaps work? Because, you know, we talk about the government listening in on us and they can just do anything. Go ahead and pull up that clip of the wiretap guy, and we'll cover this really quickly.
Physical wiretap.
It's actually, well, so we have technical investigators that have the knowledge and expertise to set up the software and the hardware that we need. It's really just a bunch of computers and a bunch of servers. And we present the phone company with an order, which is an order from the judge. So we get an order from the judge that says you're legally allowed to eavesdrop. That's the legal term, is eavesdrop on this person's phone. And then they send an order. The judge sends a concurrent order to the phone company and says, you will provide A, B, C, D, and E and information to this conduit, right, to this investigator through this IP address or whatever it is, for 30 days. And if I send you another order, we'll do another order. But at least for right now, 30 days, you'll give them all this stuff. And then we literally make a digital connection between our system and the phone company. And so whatever's coming through the phone company, they just copy off to us.
Now, is it a myth that like back in the day you could hear like a clicking sound or something if your phone was being wiretapped?
Yeah, so it's not a myth because, you know, back in the day we had landlines. And so they were literally wires that run on the ground or wires that run in telephone poles or something. And so, you know, the old school way, we would have to go out to literally the box at the end of the road and you'd put another wire on top of that. And hence the name wiretap. You'd put an additional wire on top of the one that already exists, and then you would kind of just steal, if you will, or just take off the data that's coming off that one wire and reroute it back to your office. We don't have to do that anymore because of all the data and the content goes through the cell phone company. And even the cell phone companies are the ones that run the landlines now, right? So and landlines really aren't landlines in the way that they used to be. They're all digital. So we don't have to go to the box anymore. We just go to the phone company.
So if a criminal was using a landline, it wouldn't make any difference. Nope. Now. You wouldn't have to go to the box. And in some shows and movies, they see you physically going into the phone and like popping off the ear thing. That's all.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I guess if there was some reason for us to want to put another listening device inside of a phone, there may be reasons why you'd want to do that. So I can see maybe law enforcement getting their hand on that phone and literally putting something inside of it. But there's no need to do that in terms of your everyday cell phone stuff. They can just give it to us.
Wiretapping separate than planting listening devices
it is.
Somewhere?
Yep.
So it's a different division?
We would do the same thing.
Okay.
That's part of what we would do. We would bring our tech unit to help us with the actual placement, right? If we were doing maybe GPSs on a car, or we were doing cameras, or we were doing listening.
Yeah, so like these things, I think about it and it's like, you don't ever see these things happening. They just quietly happen. You're just going about your life. And even the criminals or the terrorists, they have no idea that these things are happening in real time. And it's just like, again, like I know people are like, well, the surveillance state and what those things come with it. And I mean, yeah, the founding fathers did not expect for this, but at the same time, I'm like,
it should be illegal. It should, in my opinion. I don't think you have a different opinion, but
it's just, look, we've also been in a time where things have never been safer at the same time. So it's very hard. And I'm just, but I can't rely on the government to always do the right thing with the
We
data.
created it's problem reaction solution. We created the environment where we would need a system like this to keep ourselves safe.
Well, and the problem is like if this ever became like how China uses their surveillance and then they do the whole social credit score, that's where I have a significant problem. And they start doing those things. Now, the difference between us and China is we have the democracy, and you can call up your local congressman and they can actually push for something like this. Like Americans wouldn't let this fly. In China, it's already a totalitarian state, and those things are happening already. So they don't really have a choice. But all right, let's start wrapping this up. So now the investigation stops being about you. The investigation starts mapping everybody around you, your contacts, your associates, your travel companions, your financial links. And then on screen, it starts to look like a web, like we saw on the softwares. And then the software starts rendering the LED graphs, and lines start connecting to names and the money moving between accounts. And there's basically like a chain analysis. Even on crypto, they're able to do this, right? So the phone numbers are connected to other numbers. And so then it starts getting to a point where sometimes the network reveals something important, like whether you've got subpoena DMs or email threads that are exposing motives. And then there starts the pressure without warning, right? So at this stage, you might start to feel like maybe the airport security is taking a little bit longer, and they put you through this secondary security screening selection, right? And then there's enhanced screening for you that triggers down pat downs and swabs. Maybe border agents start asking you questions when you're going out of the country. Those types of things start happening quietly. Maybe someone actually mentions investigators contacted them with a knock and they call them knock and talks, where they go in plain clothes and they start asking you questions.
Talking about blowing this thing up on the internet. What's going on there?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Same thing as in like you talk bad about the president and they'll come knock on your door and they'll like, what did you mean by that?
Yes.
Oh,
No, and you're right about that. And so like essentially the knock, it's one thing, but then when the black trucks show up, go ahead and play that clip. Did you ever see that clip of the guy who went to Epstein's Island and the black truck started following him?
No.
Okay, go ahead and play this.
Just remember, I have no intentions of going missing. Okay, I love my life, and if I ever disappear, it's not on my own accord. So, anyway, just admire this real quickly. Tell my family I love them. Hey guys.
That's fun.
That is what the black truck looks like. And when vehicles pull up, the unmarked SUVs, that's a big problem. And then essentially the agents walk to the door. They have the tactical vest, the badges, the search warrants, all those different things. They all add up. But like, again, there's layers to it. So again, we went through like from start to finish, but just because they have all this data on you guys does not mean they're actively doing something with it all the time. Again, it's when you start doing things that draw attention to you. Whether you start like looking up specifics on, how does this work, or how do we get the bomb together, all those different things. And that's pretty much the end of my deep dive. We started with kind of the Iran situation, sleeper cells. And then I just wanted to understand, okay, what does it even look like with all the data, with all the information? How are they tracking me? What are they doing with that information? And that's pretty much why I came to the conclusion after researching. And I spent a lot of time researching. It is painted out a little bit darker than what we actually say in certain aspects. That's kind of where like when I really went through the specifics, and then it wasn't just like ChatGPT propaganda. I actually spent some time looking into it.
No, that was good. Very deep topics we look into every Sunday. We do the deep dive. Every Sunday we get a phenomenal guest. We're always live here Thursday as well. That's the Marquee Show, The Gray Area. Me and Tim, 3 hours on Thursday, usually 2 to 3 hours on Sunday as well. You're always going to want to catch those streams. I'm live every day on X, but I'm not live every day on the Gray Area YouTube or Rumble channel. So if you want to catch us here, just tune in on Thursday, tune in on Sunday. We will be here for you, delivering more phenomenal information, more information on the deep dive, more deep dives in general, and just more stuff.
Yeah. Guys, we thank you for all the support. The super chats were awesome.
Incredible. Thank you so much.
Can you guys also do us a favor? If you want to support, you don't have to support monetarily. Retweet, subscribe, give us a follow. If you're watching on Rex's account, the Gray Area Talks account is linked.
On X.
My account is linked in there. I appreciate any ability for you guys to actually follow, because it really does help us get phenomenal guests on the show as it builds credibility. all those different things. So
people won't even talk to you if they don't think you have an audience. So when you guys, if you want to see more of the show, when you choose to support us by doing those things like subscribing, retweeting, following Gray Area Talks on X, following Truism Tim on X, if we can just get 5 people to do that each show, we will really grow.
Yeah.
So if you can be one of those elite 5, really appreciate it.
And just think about it. How many shows come on? They just like, okay, we're just going to tell you what's happening in the news, and they don't want to give you guys any more context or any more information. There's a lot of shows that do that. Here, I actually take the time. I spend hours each time doing a deep dive. This one was a little bit lighter for me in terms of the topic of conversation, but there's other times where we've covered even more in-depth conversations or things that affect you personally at home. We covered how your egg prices were, being falsely inflated. Like there's so many different things that are happening behind the scenes. And our whole point of our show is to expose all of that corruption, as well as give you guys information and arm yourself. So we thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. And you got anything else? I'm pretty much done.
We love you. We love you so much. We wish you would subscribe. All the best people in the world, all the smartest people, they tell me, they say, Trump, what show do you watch? Where do you spend your time? And a lot of people, it's true. They say Trump watches Fox. They say Trump watches Fox and Friends. They say, that's not true at all. I watch Gray Area Talks on YouTube, Rumble, and X. I'm subscribed to all. I follow all. I super chat into the show all the time. That's me, Donald Trump, super chatting into the show. Please support Gray Area Talks. Trump's favorite show.
Samantha asked, what is the next deep dive going to be? Hey, I asked for some people viewer suggestion. I didn't get a lot of people reply in the X.
Tell them how they can do that.
Basically, if you go to whatever you're watching right now on X, probably most of you guys are on Rex's right now. Go ahead and comment below what you guys would like for next Sunday's segment. Otherwise, it'll be kind of like me figuring out like what are some really interesting things that you guys need to know. So I like to cover specific things. It doesn't even have to be about what's going on right now. A lot of the last few have been about Iran. Some of them have been Epstein. But again, there's other things that we can cover. If there's something specific, go ahead, message, DM. My DMs are open, guys. Like I do respond to people's DMs. I know yours are a little bit more
I check
hectic
my
than mine.
notifications.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If you guys add us on one of the Gray Area Talks posts, we're likely to see that. Or we're likely to respond to it. We should just make somewhere in general people could like throw ideas in for a deep dive. I think that might be fun.
Yeah.
Right? Usually a little link or something. I just Google something or whatever. There's a way.
Yeah,
to
I
do
could
that.
probably do a Google Doc or something like that, and people can throw stuff in there. But we thank you guys as always. Hope you guys had fun. We'll catch you on the next one. Thursday, we've got Owen Schroyer coming on. You can catch us. What time is that going to be? Is that earlier?
I think that's going to be 6:30.
6:30.
He's getting off his show. He's going to pop in with us.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and confirm that. But Thursday, you're going to want to catch our next show. We're going to be on with Owen, and then we will have another guest on Sunday. We are in the talks of that. So
we love you.
Thank you, guys. Go ahead and take us offline.
Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Modern life has left us out of balance. Long ago it was once said, certain remedies could grant a man the vitality of a horse. For over 6,000 years, these natural remedies have been harvested and tested by generations. Why create complex formulas when nature's roots are still in our hands? Try Primal Core. Ancient remedies for modern life.